Vietnam suffers first slowdown in economic growth for 4 years. Vietnam's economy expanded an estimated 6.21% this year, slightly behind 2015 and marking the first slowdown in 4 years, but a fourth-quarter surge to 6.68% was the best for a year, keeping it among Asia's fastest-growing economies. Drops in agriculture and mining dragged full-year growth below last year's 6.68% and the government's target of 6.36.5%. The General Statistics Office (GSO) said on Wednesday. 2016 GDP has not reached target or had any major breakthroughs, but in general the economy has had good growth except for the agriculture and mining sectors, GSO head Nguyen Bich Lam told reporters. In 2015, Vietnam's economy had expanded at its fastest pace since 2007, having maintained growth momentum since 2012. The slower annual growth this year, the first deceleration since 2012, left Vietnam ranked behind India, China and the Philippines. The Statistics Office put the drop in pace down to adverse weather, a marine environmental disaster and an unfavorable global economy. The 6.21 growth this year is actually not too bad given the outside factors like weather and the international markets, said Tran Minh Hoang, chief economist at Vietcombank Securities. Next year growth may improve slightly to 6.36.5% as the oil market stabilizes and public spending increases, Hoang added. Severe drought in the Central Highlands coffee growing region, salination in the paddy fields of the Mekong Delta, a cold spell on the north and floods in the central region also trimmed farm sector growth to 1.36% in 2016, the Statistics Office said. Vietnam is the world's second-largest coffee producer after Brazil and ranks third behind India and Thailand in rice exports. Other key foreign exchange earners include mobile phones, textiles, footwear, fish and shrimp. Vietnam's mining sector fell 4% this year on low prices of coal and crude oil, after an increase of 6.5% in 2015, while an environmental disaster in April that was blamed on the local steel-making unit of a Taiwanese conglomerate devastated fisheries. Fourth-quarter growth cushioned slows. On the bright side, October-December GDP growth was the best this year as agriculture rebounded during the main rice harvest season, and there was solid growth in manufacturing, construction and services, which benefited from a record 10 million foreign visitors this year, the Statistics Office said. Retail sales grew 9.1% in 2016, while domestic credit growth quickened to 18% as bank lending rose toward the year-end, with construction firms active borrowers. Attracted by cheap labor and tax incentives, inflows of foreign direct investment (FDI) struck a record $15.8 billion this year. FDI was up 9% on last year. South Korean investors pledged the most funds in 2016, including $1.5 billion for LG Display's OLED screens plant and by LG in its $550 million camera plant. Despite the chill in the global economy, exports grew a respectable 8.6% in 2016 to total $175.94 billion, while imports growth was a more modest 4.6%. Totaling $173.26 billion. That left Vietnam with an estimated trade surplus of $2.68 billion for this year, compared with a deficit of $3.63 billion in 2015. GSO's Lam noted, however, that Vietnam's increasing exposure to international trade meant it was more vulnerable to any threats of protectionism that might arise out of the election of Donald Trump as U.S. president, and Britain's vote to leave the European Union.